Hi, my name is Kevin Shelley with SER401 Group number 3 for Fall 2019, and this is Artifact Review number 3. For this sprint, we focus primarily on JSON Web Token or JWT authentication in both the web server backend and the mobile application. How the application sits right now, it's a three-part system with the front end, the back end web server, and a mobile application. The only authentication that was being done was in the front end web server when you initially logged in, and therefore endpoints were protected there. However, when you go to the mobile application, the endpoints were freely accessible. And in fact, if you were to access any of the endpoints, knowing the server information, you'd be able to access any of the information. So in order to secure that, in order to make the API endpoints a little bit more secure, we implemented JSON Web Tokens as a middleware so that users would be required to log in prior to accessing these. To showcase how this works, this sync endpoint right here, as you can see in Postman, was before not protected, but now we have protected it with a JWT token or JWT authentication. So I'm going to go ahead, if you can see right here, I'm going to provide no authentication to start. This right here at the bottom is the response that we would expect to see normally. If I were to send this request here, you're going to see that it's going to throw an error back at me saying that a JSON Web Token must be provided. If these tokens also expire after a certain amount of time. So if, for example, it's been about a week, then the token will expire and the user will have to be re-authenticated in order to continue to use the endpoints. So I have a pre-populated token here that's good for right now. If I went ahead and I send this request again, you'll see it takes a little bit longer, and in the end it actually returns the same exact response that we're used to at the bottom. How I get this web token is I make a request to this API/v2/token, this endpoint right here. I send in the body my username, password, and then if I send that right over here, it provides for me a token. Now, let's say, for example, I mess up one of these, so this is just a generic one, but let's say I mess up like the password or something, it's going to say that the username and password is incorrect. And the mobile application can then use this to authenticate on their end. So if I go ahead and I resend that, you'll see that I was successfully authenticated. Gives me the access level that I've been authenticated in the same exact manner that we had before, so that not much has changed except for now we have that web token. So now moving on to the mobile application, we have the same kind of setup right here where we have the login with the password. Originally, we only had the server name and the server address populated in here, but now we have a username and a password field so that we can authenticate against it. If you look on the right side, you'll see that this is actually the terminal for the backend web server, so you can see access tokens or all that information access live time. So I'm going to go ahead and pass in an invalid username and password, and it's going to say, oh, error found, we weren't able to authenticate. It still returns a 200 level message. That means that we were able to successfully accept and respond to the request. However, the username and password were incorrect, so we're still maintaining RESTful API standards. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the correct username and password. I go ahead and I add server, and you'll see that it said server was added successfully, and now we're able to successfully sync with the web server while still maintaining security. Now that token is being saved to a file, and that file will then be drawn, whenever we want to re-access the web server. If that every time that the person wants to change the server address, they have to re-authenticate themselves. The mobile application will then draw from that config file where the JSON web token is stored. If it is expired, it will send a new request back, save that token, and so that the user can continuously request that. Now, going forward from here, we'll be able to add a project selection where you'll be able to download only projects that the user has access to, as well as projects that are only active, because that's all we need. That'll reduce download times from 30 minutes all the way down to about 10 minutes, saving the end user quite a bit of time. We're also going to implement that JWT authentication on the web front end as well. Believe it or not, it is required there as well. And then that way the experience will be seamless. And for that one, the experience will be the same exact thing. The only thing that's changing is the back end mechanism.